or anywhere in the world. The reality is that for you as Americans, you have shown the world that individual initiative can take you far. You have shown the world that creativity and innovation represent the path to good quality living. You have shown the world that demand and accountability from your governments are very instrumental to there being productivity, both in government and in the private sector and at the community level. Being the voice of those who still don't have that voice, just because they are economically disempowered, is going to be key and crucial. But one thing that I would like you to even do as you shape the sense of governance in your country is to say to your country, go back to important multilateral platforms that you helped to shape. The World Bank, where I work as Vice President for Africa region, was one institution that the United States of America basically epitomized the spirit of reconstruction and development. It happened in the past, it can still happen today. There is no reason why you shouldn't get your country to understanding that those platforms cannot be abandoned by your country. If your country abandons those platforms, other countries will take the place. Is that what you want? I don't think so.
I would just hope that we never minimize the extraordinary impact that idealism and aspiration can have. The fact that we are in something bigger than ourselves, the realization that we could end hunger in our lifetime, is really the goal of something else I'm involved with, the Vote 08 campaign. And we have 2 million volunteers all over the country who understand that by joining together and recognizing the importance of being one, that we truly can do something. St. Francis of Assisi said it best once. He said, preach the gospel every day, if necessary, use words. Let's preach the gospel every day and we can do something about it.
It's hard to follow St. Francis of Assisi. I think, especially for the students in the room, tell your politicians, tell the next president, any way you can find to do it, that we live in an interconnected world where collaboration through our international institutions is in our interests. You know that last year, the US spent over $1 billion in Pakistan on military aid and equipment, and $38 million on education. Don't let that happen again. For the students, get into the details, visit the countries, support the idea of a civilian assistance corps, join the Peace Corps, educate yourselves, and fundamentally help us educate our politicians that the world is interconnected, and as Jim Wolfenson said, most of the people in the world now live in developing countries, and more so. Most of the middle class, most of the security issues, most of the prosperity for us and them is going to start there, not here anymore. It's the 21st century.
A lot of it's about getting people involved. I don't think any of these things find solutions without a lot of people involved. This is certainly emblematic of that, but it's going to take exponentially more folks. And in order to do that, and I think to get involved in a real way, not just writing a check, a one-time $50 or a t-shirt, it's about developing an understanding, and that takes real investment. Because I think in order to really make it work, we have to have a citizenry that's really has a pretty thorough understanding of what's going on in developing countries, and frankly, so that they can take a good look at what we're doing. Often, up here saying, how should it get better there? There are inefficiencies in what's happening, in how we're approaching this problem from the side of the West. 50 years of aid, and frankly, in some places it's been a lateral move, and we need to, you know, examine how we're approaching those problems as well, these institutions, and cultivate a you know, citizenry that's ready to reform that, and also, you know, instead of just saying bad governance in Africa, also say how can we do this better? And that's probably a tall order, but it's the only way that it's going to happen. And I think these messages that you guys have talked about are really quite effective. Climate change, you know, there's a lot of people that gaining an interest and developing that connection, I think, is really important. Obviously, national security issues, you know, in Dar es Salaam, I saw paintings of Osama bin Laden. It's a real thing. But I think, you know, in terms of the real fundamental galvanizing thing, I really think if we tell the story right, the real story, I think Americans are great people. And I think once they see that there are victories possible, that there are partnerships possible, that taking these steps doesn't have to come out of guilt or out of fear, but that this work comes out of glory. I think historically that we've had our ups and downs. We've been a glorious and great and generous nation. And I think
Can we start these final comments by giving these men and women a thunderous round of applause?